Hello, beautiful people. How are you? Okay, so we're here for another edition of Impactful People Live. Today, we start with our first graduate series, and we're having Charlotte Marsh. She was a student of mine back in like 2016 when I was starting with the diastasis recti work, and then she continued on and went through the first edition of the Pregnancy Pilates Impact Academy before it was what it is today. And with her Pilates background and her passion for breathing, she has become a master trainer at breathing and has written a children's book that she was talking about and thinking about years ago. And just over the last couple of months, I'm going to have her come on right now. Over the last couple of months, she has, it's come to fruition. And here we go. Off. And her secret superpower, Pilates and breath work. So we should, let's see. There you are.
Hey.
Hi, Charlotte. How are you?
Hi, Alison. It's nice to see you.
It's so good to see you too. So it's evening for you right now.
Yes, it's evening, so I've got a ring light, but actually it's kind of blinding me.
If you want to turn it down a little, you can. It's okay.
I can't. It's like on or off, so I'll deal with it.
Okay.
It's better than the view otherwise, which when I checked, it would be so pitch black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's the only disadvantage of doing it at night, because I have the best window in the house. I've made sure it's all window, like bright light, and because seriously, that's like the best lighting.
The best.
So thank you. I appreciate you
Pleasure.
taking the time, because so you are in the UK, correct?
I'm in the UK. I'm up in Derbyshire, which is like in the Midlands of England. It's a very it's a quiet and green county. Lots of Derbyshire Dales and the Peak District Hills. If you ever saw Pride and Prejudice, the film, Keira Knightley stands on one of the rocky outcrops. We have lots of landscape like that.
Cool. Okay.
So it's great if you're a hiker. There's lots of yoga and breath work in small doses, but there's not kind of the large city Pilates studios, maybe like there would be in London or Manchester.
Oh, sure. Okay.
But the studios that there are really friendly, really warm, and very kind of community based. There's a real camaraderie once you're in.
And that is like, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's like so important in everything that we do.
I think it's also this is probably off topic.
No,
but
everything is on topic.
Yeah.
Everything is on topic.
But I think as we're coming out of only Zoom land, with the pandemic and closures and everything, and there's been this middle ground, hasn't there, then, where things could open up, but a lot of classes didn't go back, or some things opened up with WhatsApp community chats at the same time, or there's been this mid ground. But I know a couple of classes which I attend as a participant, it's still all online, and I think you do partly miss that face-to-face chit chat, because human beings, we're meant to connect, aren't we, at the end of the day? Like, I've chatted online in text messages and messages with you, but it's so nice to actually speak nearly face to face and in real time.
Someday we'll meet at some point. I remember when you signed up for our very first pre and postnatal training.
Yeah.
And I remember when you saw we were doing it, and you were like, do I need to get a ticket to Las Vegas? Was that you that said that?
Yes, please. I mean, I would have loved to.
I know. And so, yes, it completely makes sense. And that's one of the things about you that I love and am so grateful I've been able to continue to connect with you and be
connected with you, because what you have been able to do, from talking about your career in Pilates and then your passion for breathing. You started the better breathing.
The benefits of better breathing.
Benefits of better breathing.
Yeah.
Yes, that course. And then go ahead.
Well, you know, it's interesting because actually my time with you was really pivotal on confirming it just became a bit of an obsession, really, didn't it? You know, anytime breath was mentioned, anytime breathing was mentioned, it somehow that was just my thing. It just became my thing. And I think it's partly because in my personal journey, I had an injury when I was pregnant. I recovered a little, but not fully. And I still think anytime I had a hip pain or a shoulder pain, I would get help treating directly with that shoulder or treating directly that hip. But I can remember when we were doing one of the pre and postnatal courses, and we were online, and you were going through the fascial lines, and we were kind of colouring in, you know, we were doing the back line and front line, we were doing all of that together. And I thought, well, that's exactly the channel where my pain is, you know. So for a while I was so interested in the fascial aspect, but then actually when we were looking at pelvic floor issues in some of our clients, and I had someone who had pubic symphysis, and then there was another colleague who was having a pelvic floor prolapse issue, and we were discussing cases like that together, and obviously the diastases. But all the time we kept coming back to the breath, and I was, you know, drilling down on, I think it was the obturator nerve, and we were talking about, you know, nerve flossing and things like this that we could do. And I'm like, but I'm not a physiotherapist, and it's really drawing the line between as a Pilates instructor, but you know a little bit more maybe, and then you want to do the best for people. And I know that when I was seeking assistance with my pain problems, the phrase kept coming up, you know, do no harm. But in some ways, do no harm means don't treat me today and send me away and expect me to come back next week because I'll still be in pain. Like, treat the whole body. You know, if I've got pain here, surely, you know, it's not just here, it's a whole body issue. Right. And so what kept happening is that we were looking to the breath, we were looking to synchronize that breathing. You know, personally, I had a little hernia, and I was thinking, well, I'm getting so fit now, but every time I was trying to load more, I'd have a back spasm, and that whole right side would just shut down. So it's like so frustrating. And then I did get to the point where I kept hearing things that were so contradictory, and I just couldn't make sense of it. So for me, I had to then go and study from a really, you know, wide variety of different sources, to really get a little bit more information about breathing, and why sometimes in Pilates we think that our breathing is so different and so unusual. And at the end of the day, a Pilates body is the same as any other human body. And no offense, you know, myself, I'm a Pilates teacher, so it's definitely not a criticism, but I think sometimes, you know, we keep hearing this cue, you know, tummy buttons in the spine and keep those abs in, you know, abs tight to support you. And I know that it's hard to believe that that is still said, but it is. I'm in classes and I hear it. And it's really working with the breath, that it's a constant moving feet, and not to try and, you know, cheat on your own body. The body is so amazingly designed, isn't it?
So amazing.
When you do the Gil Headley talks and things, and you hear about the things he says, it's like, you know, just don't try and work against what the body naturally wants to do. And I think that's so key with pelvic floor and postnatal, isn't it?
Well, and the number one problem, don't you think, is that women want the flat tummy. And so it's such that balance, isn't it? Like,
it is.
Your body was not meant to be flat in the front all the time. it has, I mean, you know, like it has to expand and give
like,
and take.
Exactly.
Yes, love it.
Yes, this is what I use with kids, but yes. Yeah, and I mean, it'd be funny if it wasn't so sad, wasn't it? But I've been to a few women's health conferences, and you know, they really take the mickey out of Pilates teachers. It's really quite embarrassing. I've been in one especially, and I almost, you know, found myself kind of shrinking. I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing.
Well,
and
that's not right anyway. Like, I don't agree with that. I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, but I mean, I think that anytime somebody is criticizing, rather than being compassionate about the fact that that's how we were trained, like literally, like it's nobody's fault, and it's more about just we have a better understanding today. I always give the example of seat belts.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Do you know? Okay, so in the United States, they didn't pass the seatbelt law until 1980.
Right.
I
don't know when ours came in, but I was one of 4, and we could all sit in the back seat.
Right.
You couldn't do that now.
Right. The point is that they learned that when you put on a seatbelt, it saves lives. So we learned when you stop pulling in the belly all the time, it starts to release pelvic floor issues and diastasis and all the other things.
And also, it depends on people's personal goals at different points in their life, because the lady who was up on the stage, I mean, she was absolutely ripped. She was really muscly. She was, I mean, you know, I felt quite toned at the time and quite strong, but looking at her, I was like, wow, you know, she's worked really hard to get that body, really hard. So her goal was building muscle. Her goal was whatever, you know, performance wise, I don't know if she had a weights loading goal, but she was obviously very committed to the work she did to get that body.
Right.
But
and there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's you know, it takes commitment and drive and a level of dedication. But what came out during that conversation was that she was suffering terribly with pelvic floor issues.
Right.
And so it's, as often is the case in life, you know, you pinch from Peter, but you pay with Paul, don't you? It's one of those. And I think getting to an even point where, I mean, I had clients, I remember discussing some with you, you know, somebody couldn't go out for a family day because no matter what pad they wore, they would be so in a mess, you know. That's not normal. That's to not be able to participate in a family day out. Another client couldn't take their children swimming because the minute they were near water, you know, she couldn't cope with that. Even on holiday, imagine, you know. So yeah, it's education. But
so you are starting from I'm waving at everybody that could. So everybody, if you're here watching, just say hi. Let us know where you are in the world. So what I love about the fact that you have taken your passion and an idea, which is this book, and brought it to fruition to where you go on Amazon right now, you can buy this book.
Okay,
you
can buy it around the world.
Okay, so we've got 2 things here. The first, the fact that in Michigan, Studio T.
Hi,
Pilates.
Tommy.
Yeah. Oh, you know. Oh, you know.
I think
you know who she is. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. The fact that not only are you obviously starting from the children, which is freaking brilliant. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like, that's brilliant in itself. But then you have taken, this is even more, I just want you to understand, and I mean, I'm sure you know this, but it's nice to, oh, hi, okay, oh, Rochelle, right, of course, oh, I know Rochelle. Hi, Rochelle. You took an idea. Everybody has ideas. Everybody has, like, you know, but you freaking took it all the way to not only to fruition, but now you go around and you teach this in classes.
I'm trying to. Yeah.
So tell us about.
It's slow off the ground, but Well, the idea came when I did my kids and teens qualification, and we were encouraged to look for yoga storybooks for lesson inspiration, because there was not a single Pilates storybook out there. And I remember thinking at the time, well, that's a shame. And, you know, yoga is similar. There are some similar shapes, but it's not Pilates, is it? You know, it's different. And obviously that kind of stuck in my mind, because I thought, well, it's kind of odd that as different cohorts of Pilates teachers are going out in the world to train little children, we might be pinching ideas from yoga books. Hi, Renee. So it stayed with me, but it was just at the back of my mind. And then it was when schools closed and I started doing some Petit Pilates over Facebook Live. So all the schools were closed and I did some, you know, just a series of kids Pilates lessons. And I ended up kind of picking a theme or a very light kind of story, because that's how you do approach, you know, teaching children, isn't it? And one of them involved a sloth. So that kind of, you know, parked that for a while. And then my classes didn't really take off again after the lockdowns and everything. And I had become very much more interested in breathing. So I'd put together my Benefits of Better Breathing course online for other movement teachers to follow. That was getting, you know, really great reviews and interesting discussions amongst teachers. So that was fun. And I decided I wanted to do some more breathing qualifications. So I became a Buteyko breath coach. So I kind of saw it maybe going in a different direction. I'd focus on the breath work more than the Pilates. But then as things were progressing, my husband was back at home, because prior to that he'd been in Australia, so things were a bit different logistically. I thought, well, you know, this book, this story, yeah. And I just started it. And honestly, Alison, it does seem to have had a bit of a life of its own. And I remember you saying to me when we were, you know, if we were anxious about what we were teaching, because it was the first time we were teaching someone with a specific pregnancy related issue, you know, you said to me, you just need to be a chapter ahead. Just take one step at a time. And that has been such excellent advice, because I think sometimes you look at that ladder, don't you, and you think, I have to get there. And it's tough because, I mean, obviously I've got no experience of writing a book, of publishing a book, of getting a book, you know, edited, proofread, illustrated, checked for legality, the whole thing, no experience at all. So I just kept thinking, just one step at a time. Well, we'll just do this bit and see what happens. And there's no really, I wasn't on a deadline as such. I had nobody, you know, on my shoulder saying, if you don't do it by such and such a date, then, you know, the project's off the table. Which is just as well, because my illustrator then fell pregnant, which was fantastic news for her, but it meant that the whole thing was kind of, you know, put on the back burner for a while. And then I got really ill last year, and there's no way that I could have done the launch and all the, you know, the marketing razzmatazz that you needed at the beginning,
right,
if it had gone to plan last year. So I did make a few inquiries about publishing, but I didn't spend that long on it, and my initial kind of response was, you know, I had a few no's back, and I thought, you know what, I'm just not sure I've got the patience, perseverance, and also I wasn't sure if it was necessary, because I'm a good starter of projects, and I didn't know if I'd have the longevity of energy needed if it was with a publisher, whereas I thought, no, I've started this, I want to get it out. So I self-published the book.
Love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I think that it's so smart, Charlotte, because you get control. Like, I don't, you know, that when you publish, and if you're a publisher, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but my understanding is that the authors only get like 5% of sales or something like that.
Yeah, you get, so you would be paid up front, and then you would get a you know, per sale
for every sale.
Yeah,
right.
But yeah, the authors kind of make their money in the initial contract, and obviously the big selling books, you know, I guess that adds up. But it
I
tends
love this ground roots I love this ground roots effect, because social media today, which I'm sure you've seen, and like after this interview, like I'm excited to share it, you know, get it, you know, it's like I want to get it in my kids' schools. I want to, you know what I mean? It's so powerful today because you can self-publish and be very successful.
Yeah. And actually, even if you have a publisher and a publishing deal, the author still has to do a lot of marketing these days because of the way that marketing works. It is so social media based. So in the past, you know, maybe 20 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that much of an author, you know, or you wouldn't have done so many book signings or this conference or that conference, or you know, whereas now, I mean, I've made some contacts of people who are authors with publishing deals, and they're very, very busy promoting their books. Obviously, they have the budget of a publishing house and a marketing department and everything else behind them, which is fantastic. They get, you know, various doors opened because of that. But it is quite a part of the job now, I think. As
so there
anything is, you know, as a Pilates teacher previously, you probably didn't have to do so much PR, or if you did, it was word of mouth or leafleting and this kind of thing. But social media is a massive task now, isn't it?
But by the way, you're in the group where I'm doing the class on Friday, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Yeah.
I'm hoping to catch that.
Okay,
yes.
Good. Yeah, you'll get the replay if we're not. I'm sorry. Sorry, I didn't realize. I always do that where I'm like forget like we're on live with everybody. I'm doing a training, it's social media for perinatal impact is what I'm calling it. On Friday for the students of graduates. I mean, Charlotte is a graduate of the academy, but
that's what was so good with your academy though, because it was so varied. There were so many, you know, specialist interviews, and then there was like the sales modules, and then the, you know, a bit of marketing modules, and it was really varied. It wasn't just the content of how to teach, you know, pregnant or postnatal women.
Well, and I mean, I think like the biggest thing like that I love about your story is just showing the niche that you pulled out of what you know, what sparked you, you know, from the academy or wherever.
Yeah.
And then you took it and made it your own. Like that is so beautiful. And you are literally doing that ripple effect. My logo is a ripple.
Yeah.
It is a ripple effect. Like you're teaching children and their parents.
Do you know what? That's been the biggest thing. So I've done a few school workshops, and I've done a whole week of library sessions where I went round local libraries, some in quite affluent areas and some in quite deprived city areas. And I think what was interesting is that, you know, there's always been this a barrier to entry for Pilates in some cases because of the financial commitment that's required. So not many of the parents in some of the sessions knew what Pilates was. So that's already okay, well, you know, if nothing else, I've introduced what Pilates is to some new faces. But the funniest thing is that it's actually really nice to see little children, you know, pulling their mum or their dad or their granny down, do this with me, you know, and it gets that kind of, because I think that's what I did experience it with my own child when I taught these Putty Pilates sessions. She was, you know, young enough to still want to join mummy at that point.
I know. Huh? How old is she now? We have
13.
Yeah.
That time has passed. It'll come back. But it's so cute seeing, you know, parents join in and grandparents and actually enjoying it. And they thought they were just going to sit on the chair, be scrolling their phone. The kids sat down here, you know, and I'm leading the children moving. But then the mum's joining in, or, you know, we had a few dads as well. And I always say about this session, when you do it with your own child, or when I teach it in a class format, it's full of wriggles and giggles, because it's wriggles because we're all moving our body, and very often in ways, especially the grown-ups, that they they're not used to doing. If you don't have a regular movement practice and you're not used to twisting your spine, or you're not used to rolling up and down, they're moves that a lot of grown-ups don't actually do. So you know, it's very cute seeing those moments, because it is actually, you know, there's a movement now, isn't there, around gentle parenting, patient parenting, you know, right, connected parenting. And this is an activity which does lend itself very well to that, because you're moving together, you're bonding together. So that was quite sweet.
So yeah, go ahead, keep going.
No, well, and let me think what else I can tell you about the activity center. So in the schools, that's interesting, because obviously it's generally kind of larger classroom sizes, and it's very interesting what you can see as an observer at the front of a classroom, because obviously you've got a real mix of their general public schools, they're not fee-paying schools, so a real mixture of children and families attending those schools. And you know, there was one little girl who was so quiet during the session, and I thought, I'm not sure if she's getting it, is she into it, is she following it? And she was very quiet. But then at the end, when there was time for a bit of Q&A, she was the only child who said, well, how do you get to write the story? So I think she was actually thinking, you know, she wasn't just moving her body, she was thinking about the process of creating a book.
Amazing.
There was another little boy, we were doing, it's a page on the monkey, it's a move on the monkey page. And we started doing this little, it's a saw, we started twisting around. And he says, I can't do it. And I thought, oh, I could really feel his frustration, you know, and it was almost as if he was about to lose his temper. And I saw the teacher react as well in such a way that I thought, okay, this happens often.
Right.
It's like, step in. Luckily, he was on the front row, so I could access him easily. And I said, okay, legs further apart. Don't worry. You know, you just do it a little bit. You just, and just helping them realize that, you know, I do this all the time. It's the first time you've tried it. You can't do it today. You just can't do it yet. And it's language as well, which I know is really important to you. You're very careful with your language. But seeing their little reactions, you know, and the frustration or the thinking or the children, I just find children fascinating. And to be able to introduce this to them, not just with the Pilates and a cute little story, but with the breathing exercises at the end. You know, we've got those 5 breathing exercises.
Right. That's what I was going to go to next. So was like to look through the book and see.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, you know, it starts off and it says about this book, and basically, so people can have their own choice of how much or how little they do. So you can do one a week, or you can do, I'm just looking around for a pile of papers, which I think I've left on the stairs, so I won't show you that, but I will tell you. These little children, the first kind of draft of this book had lots of children in every page. And I had a chat with a lady called Cooper Rust, who's a dance school director out in Kenya, because all of the other animals in the story were African animals from Kenya. And so I wanted to make sure that it was accurate, that it was reflective, that the little girl who was going to be in the story looked as she would in local culture. So they all wear their hair in plaits, or they actually shave their hair or have it up in a bun. So, you know, trying to be culturally accurate as well.
Amazing.
And that was great to have her input. And then each little page, we meet the sloth, and she goes on a little adventure, and she meets animals on each page. And then there are some movements on each page with words or with pictures. So depending on how kids like to follow things. And the first page is kind of footwork related. So it's, you know, getting various joints moved up, warmed up. And then throughout the story, there's a combination really of some of the classical, you know, Pilates moves, and then other moves, I suppose, that you'd call transitions, which are more fun and more playful moves for young children, just to get them constantly moving and giggling the way through it. And one of the ones that never fails to get them giggling is roll like a ball, when we become the little ladybird who gets stuck on her back, and then we have to roll around. They love that one. I guess, again, it's a move you just don't do very much in normal life.
Right.
And then the elephant page, that always gets a good giggle, because we do a standing roll down and we pretend that we have a long trunk and we roll down through the spine. That's it. And then we do a pretend water fight. And so you turn to whoever's next to you, which in schools is often the teacher. So they love that. Or mum, or, you know, dad or granddad. So that's cute. You know, they just like playing around. And then she reveals, you know, spoiler alert, that sloths have this superpower, and that they actually can control their breathing. So when they swim, they don't need to breathe for a really long time. So they're very evolved in terms of their nervous system. And she goes through and kind of recalls what's unique and special about each of the animal friends that she meets. And then she asks them if they would like some breathing superpowers. So she teaches these 5 breathing exercises. After she meets them all. Yeah.
Talking to them all, yeah. I love it. Oh my gosh. So do you want to take us through one of your favorites?
So the smiling breath, which is the first one in the book, the breathing practices that, you know, they're suitable for any age, you know, adults, they're really useful for too. But the way that they're kind of described in the book, they fit the story, so they're suitable for kids. But the smiling breath, it's really based on a cadence breath. So the in breath is probably the same length as the out breath. And it's combined with a little bit of movement. So it's a really nice one to do in the morning when you first wake up and you want a little bit of a stretch and everything's been kind of a bit squished depending on how you sleep. And it also has an element of a gratitude practice kind of wrapped in with it. So I think, you know, you're starting the day with a breathing practice that gets some movement into your key areas where you breathe, and you're just starting with a little positive thought. So when I'm teaching it in the group, I have my little sunshine hands, so I pop these on and the kids can copy. And we tend to stand up, but I'll do it sitting down. So you just, so we're going to close our mouth and we're going to take our breath in through our nose. So you breathe in, you let your arms float up to the sky. And then as you start to breathe out, you let your arms reach out and feel that stretch all around the fascia at the back of your body and coming back to the bottom. So we'll go again. We breathe in, stretching your arms up to the ceiling or to the sky, and then start to breathe out and bring your arms out wide and down. And again, so breathing in, raise the arms up to the ceiling. And then as you bring them out, think of that thought that will put a smile on your face like a happy sunshine. Breathing in, raise your arms up to the sky, make a nice big sunshine shape in the sky, and then breathe out, arms are coming down, and think of that happy thought for your smile. And just, you know, you can do that a number of times with children, but I think it's just a practice which I think it's a really nice one to do in the morning, as I say, because you've been squished up. And, you know, I quite often stop after my commute in the morning and then just, you know, do that one somewhere nice and green outside in nature, taking a nice long distance gaze if you can. You can combine it with an open mouth sigh on the out breath if you want to.
Oh, I like it.
A little bit of vagus nerve, you know, that vibration. You can even do a hum on the way down. So there's lots of different ways that, you know, if you are a parent, a teacher, if you're a movement teacher, you can add in bits that you know, but use this as a springboard to start with children. And I think the funny thing is we've got some friends who they've got a 4-year-old, and she's had a copy of this book, but gifted by Granny and Grandad. So it stays at their house. And whenever she stays over, she sent a message via my husband just yesterday saying that the minute she wakes up, she's like, I need my book. I'm going to do my exercises.
Oh my gosh,
like, well, I need to be less sloth and I need to be more Susie. You know, it's amazing. But that's the effect that you can have on children. You know, if they do something and they like it, if they think it's fun. But the other thing is that actually what I perhaps hadn't anticipated so much is that, yes, it's a fun activity, And it's, you know, you'll get the wriggles, you'll get the giggles between parents, between carers. But it's actually teaching them for the very first time, some children, that they have some power in their breath, whether that's to concentrate, whether that's to energize, whether that's to calm themselves down. And it's also, you know, there are studies which I share. I do some breathing boost in the workplace sessions. A lot of companies now that have wellness days, don't they, or wellness lunches. And there are studies taking a group of students. They're older than this book is aimed at, but taking a group of students, and they do a breathing exercise before studying for and taking exams. And the results are quite astonishing in that their exam performance was so much stronger. And there are other studies available about the effects of nasal breathing on cognitive ability. So if you are trying to teach children of any age, or if adults are trying to learn something new of any age, nasal breathing has a direct influence over how easily you can absorb new information, your cognitive ability, seen through brain scans. So, you know, there's so much information out there about how breathing can help people.
And it's just like, isn't it one of those things? It's like, that is a free, God-given, born, like, if you don't breathe, you're not alive. I mean, yeah. And everybody can do it.
Yeah, it's free. It's always with you. You just need to be shown some basics. And, you know, somebody I know is a psychotherapist, and it was interesting because we were having a chat, and they were saying, yeah, I quite often give out breathing. You know, it's obviously so there is a good awareness that breath work helps in times of trouble, you know. But then when we got into talking about, okay, well, what breath work do you give? What patterns do you give? And the pattern that was talked about was a 5-7-8 breath, which if someone has a dysfunctional breathing pattern, then they're generally breathing quite fast. Most people breathe a little bit too fast for what we need. So, you know, if you do nothing else, just generally try and slow your breathing down. Take 3 slow breaths. And that would actually be better advice than saying to people, take 3 deep breaths, which very often goes against what people need. But by giving a 5-7-8 to somebody who's perhaps breathing, you know, they might just be doing 2 seconds in, 2 seconds out. That's a really challenging pattern to give to somebody. And you might actually make them more stressed. That would be, you know, the opposite of what you're trying to do. So I think that does, you know, it's easy to say, yeah, do some breathing. Yeah, I've seen this. It's a 4-4-4-4 box breathing pattern. But you have to always, you know, it's like in Pilates, we say, teach the body in front of you, don't we? Well, meet the person where they are, assess how they're breathing first of all. If they're breathing very fast and if they're breathing very shallow, then just get it to slow down first of all and have a little bit more gentle expansion. And working on that sort of exhale to slow and to calm things down. That can often be a better starting point than 3 deep breaths. So, and that kind of comes on to what we leave children with in the book is this better breathing lesson. So the other breathing exercises kind of fit other times in a child's day. So the taking control breath, which is the one with the little elephant on it there, that's like a physiological sigh, and Dr. Huberman made that one famous recently when he shared this cyclical sigh research paper. And that's a pattern which we actually naturally do quite often in the day. You find yourself doing sniff, sniff, and long out. And if you see children, when they've had like that temper tantrum and they're crying so much they can't calm themselves down, it's very often that kind of a pattern that they do afterwards. So that's that next one.
I'm going to say hi to Anna. I don't know if she's still here. She just said, it's nice to see you girls. I'm in
Oh,
between
hi,
classes.
Anna. Yeah, I need my glasses, really. I can't do both at the same time.
It's okay. I'll read them to you.
Okay.
Come in. Yeah. We were asking, by the way, if you're here, and we were asking where everyone is in the world in the beginning. So if you're here and you haven't said where you are in the world, we would love to know. So, okay. Keep going.
Yeah.
Here.
So the focusing breath, we do a pattern which is a square with 3. So it's 3 in. So it's not 4, it's not 5 for children. Children breathe at a faster rate anyway. And that one is helpful for focusing and concentrating.
Right.
And then the holding your breath one, when we do that one, that is actually from a Buteyko breathing pattern. So in Buteyko, we look at, the simplest way to describe it is we're looking at building a tolerance to carbon dioxide. So quite often if someone is breathing very fast, they're offloading more carbon dioxide that is useful. And there was a scientist back in 1904 who was named Bohr, so he found the Bohr effect, is that we actually need a certain amount of carbon dioxide in our blood in order to let the oxygen be transported. So if we're breathing very fast and we're offloading carbon dioxide, we're actually not going to get any more oxygen into our blood. We need that right level of carbon dioxide first. It's also mixed in with how breathing maintains the right pH level throughout the whole body. So this, when we do it with children, this is very beginners entry level practice. And I have my lovely little cushion, which I use in schools, which they all think's hilarious, because we're walking past a dung heap, so we want to hold our breath. And then we leave them with the relaxing breath, and this is one which is lovely to do before bedtime, and that one focuses on lengthening your exhale. So any time that you're slowing down your exhale, because of the way your heart rate variability is affected by your inhale and your exhale, if you have a slower exhale, that sends a signal to the body that you can calm down, you can be more relaxed. So that's a lovely one to do before bed. Again, useful for adults, not just for kids.
Right.
Yeah, because sleeping is such a problem for so many people, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. Do you have videos of how to do these anywhere?
I have a video of the smiling breath one. I released that on Mental Health Day. And currently I don't have videos up online of the others, but the idea is, and I'm hoping to work with the Pilates studio soon, to do a follow along video for the whole book.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
So parents can, see how the moves are done. And then hopefully work to get a small course encompassing the breathing side of it, specifically for parents. Oh, we're all over the place. That's fantastic. Hi, Tanya.
Yeah.
I can see that one.
So yeah, South African, living in Germany, Pilates instructor with 2 kids, love the breathing. It's so important. Thanks for sharing. Yeah. So so this is the book. I know it's backwards. I always have to remember that on lives, that it's, but anyway, you can get on Amazon.
You can get it on Amazon, and if Amazon's not your thing, which I understand completely, you can also order it from whichever bookshop you prefer to shop at.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good to know.
It's orderable. Yeah.
And all over the world, right?
All over the world. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's been so sweet getting messages from people, about, they sent photos of their child discovering it and doing the moves for the first time. And honestly, it's so heartwarming. Because I'll be honest, I said to you, just one step at a time, but there were some days and I just thought, no, this is going crazy.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's important for people to know, that that's the process.
Well,
the process is not linear.
No, that's really true, actually. And also because once I had decided I wanted to self-publish, there is a wide variety in quality of self-published books. And I wanted to ensure that I had a very high quality and it could appear as though it was published by, you know,
and
whoever. Yeah.
it's amazing.
So I had a developmental editor in the beginning. I had another editor. I had a proofreader. I had a sensitivity checker. You know, all these things.
Amazing.
Which
amazing.
They all cost a lot of money, but hopefully this will be around for a long time, and the school workshops will help to recoup some of those costs. But it was very interesting because, you know, in terms of resilience, when obviously the editor that I used in the first instance was not a Pilates teacher and was not a breathwork teacher. So from their point of view, I knew that the book made sense, and I knew that it was not as free form as a general story could be, because I had to choose a setting and wording and then bits to a story to match moves, because I started with the moves first, really, a bit of a combination, and then you know, just all sketched out, and then I kind of cut and paste like a little booklet and just drew the moves on. Amazing. And then with the illustrator, I sent like, don't know, thousands of little photos or videos, and she would sketch what a Pilates saw looked like, and I would have to say, okay, this bit, this needs to be lower, you know, we've got to have our lats active, or whatever it was.
Oh my gosh,
you know,
brilliant.
Because from a postural point of view, if a Pilates teacher picks it up and goes, well, I know what the move is, but it's not done like that, you know, right. That had to be right, didn't it?
Yes. I mean, I'm so glad you're sharing this, because we really, have to see like the intricacy that went into this. Yeah. And it's timeless. I mean, this is timeless. So you're right. Yes. It will be shared.
I think it's worth, well, I'm like that anyway. If a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. I can't get that out of my, you know, programming as a child. And it's the perfectionist side of me. You can go too far with it, can't you? It's a problem, but at the same time,
well, I think the only problem is when you don't put your stuff out there because of the fear that it's not good enough.
Yes.
So you've taken the steps to ensure that it is to your level of excellence, and it is.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you.
It is. I mean, it is. You would never, ever. And I know what you mean about self-published books. Yeah. But like literally anybody can self-publish it, and they just kind of like throw it up there, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, it is. This is just like perfection. So it
looks like a book, doesn't it?
it looks like a book. It's brilliant. So,
and I was very fortunate, because I sent advanced copies out to a few people, and I got some really nice endorsements. So that's been a great help in getting the word out to people.
Patrick, we'll name him.
Patrick McEwen.
Yeah. Oh, is that the breathing?
Yeah, he heads up Utako Breathwork in Breathing International.
Got it. Glenn Withers. Physiotherapy, Pilates Institute. Yeah. Jill Miller, I love her. Tune Up Fitness.
Amazing.
She's amazing. And then of course Jenna Zaffino in the Pilates community. That's amazing.
Yeah. So hopefully, but from an editor's point of view, you know, they're used to whimsical, fairy tale, perhaps a bit more flowing, you know, and maybe not such an obvious animal voice. I think children's writing is often a little bit more subtle in terms of the story, but for what I wanted to achieve, introducing Pilates moves, revealing her superpower, introducing 5 really important breathwork practices for key moments in a child's day, and then leaving them with this neat secret code, which is her better breathing lesson. So N for nose, E for easy, A for air, and T for timed. And really, that's the stuff that I teach adults. You know, they are the principles of how to breathe better. You know, use your nose, let your diaphragm move. Don't be restricting yourself in tight sports bras all the time. Let the lymph flow. air, don't overbreathe, don't breathe too much. And then timing, you know, that you actually, you know, one of the very few beings that can control our breathing. And let's use it when we need to.
Yeah.
Had to use it myself today. Something useful.
It's absolutely amazing, and I'm really excited for you. As I always say, like, all the hard work went up to all of the hard work up to now. It's released, it's done, and now you just keep sharing. Rochelle, she says, I'm so excited about the book, ordering mine this week and sharing. Congratulations on your hard work. Thank you, Alison.
So much.
This is lovely to listen to. Thanks for being here, Rochelle, the whole time. I never know who's here. I can see like people pop on, but then people pop off, and I don't know who's who. So thank you for saying that, Rochelle, and I hope you're doing well.
That's lovely.
So yeah, I'm excited to continue to share it as well. And like you, this is just the beginning. And I'm especially being, again, like you said, there's, you know, having Pilates and breathing at the top or breath work.
Yeah.
You know, especially for Pilates teachers, obviously, it's going to be huge. Like, so anyway, I'm excited for you. I'm honored that, you know, just of you being a graduate of the academy, and you mentioned resiliency. That's, you know, are an impactor, and you're just an inspiration, and I hope people can see what you've done and really just say, I can do it too, you know.
I can absolutely
take a niche and anything. When I say I can do it, whatever that it may be, you know.
That's it. That's it. Because for a while I thought, well, you know, why am I trying to teach breathing when really I'm qualified to teach Pilates? But I remember you saying, you know, there's no prescription, you know, there's no set specific way of teaching. You have to find, and it's so hard when you start out, isn't it? Because you want to be either like who taught you,
right,
and emulate their voice, emulate their catchphrases. Even you do. That's how it works.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's important in the beginning to an extent, and then you have to learn to find your own way.
Yeah. And that your way is unique to you, you know. Right. And I mean, I didn't even set out to do a school workshop. Honestly, that's what I mean, that this kind of has a life of its own.
Right.
The head teacher where I volunteer said, you know, can you come in? Can you work out something? So now I have all these props. You know, I have this giant Susie Sloth face, and we throw, I don't know if I've got any up here. Oh yeah, I have. We throw things into her mouth to see whether germs and bugs get in through the mouth. Oh
my God.
Yes, brilliant. They do, but they can't get in through her nostrils. And we have a huge parachute, and that becomes our diaphragm after I put on my X-ray vision t-shirt, and the kids see, you know, where their diaphragm is, and we breathe in, we lower the diaphragm, and we squash people underneath us who sit there with little organs, and then we breathe out and our diaphragm goes up, and we throw cushions of the heart and the lungs, and it's all through play. Because I think, you know, since I've helped out in this school, what's really been so visible is how many more children seem to not be coping with emotional challenges. You know, call it what you like, but mental health in schools is now a very different problem to even 10 years ago. Right. And I think COVID is not helping.
Bad in the UK, if it's bad in the UK, you know it's bad in the United States.
Well, it is. I read a statistic about a month ago saying that pre-COVID, persistent absenteeism in the UK was 1 in 5 children. Post-COVID, that is now, no, sorry, I said that the wrong way around. 1 in 10 children pre-COVID. Now it's 1 in 5 children in UK schooling system is persistently absent from school. And these children are not always in an alternative provision. They are missing from education.
Wow.
And I just think, you know, who knows what it's truly about, whether it's screen-based technology issues, whether it's, you know, the demands on parents being so much pressure, time pressure, whether it's lack of exercise and time outdoors. I think there's a whole combination. Cost of living crisis and everything else, financial stress. Children absorb, don't they? They say, we have to have the calmest nervous system in the room. And I really do believe that, because the minute you feel yourself going, they're not going to listen, and you're not going to be effective. You have got to find, and that's where breath work for parents can be really helpful, but you've got to practice it almost daily in order to then, when you do drop into the high stress, you'll find it. And sometimes it is a millisecond. It's such a short pause, but it's so powerful, because you just find that, okay, they're a child. They're not doing this deliberately. It's coming out because they're not coping, you know. And it's so hard when it feels so personal, doesn't it? At times. It's so personal. I can remember, you know, but it is personal because they've told me this or they've said that. It's not personal. It's not about you. It's about them. So if you can find that tiny, tiny pause, it just allows you to have a fleeting thought that can find you that extra little dose of patience, or extra dose of kind of compassion, or, you know, your reaction. You just have chance to consider your reaction and not just react. But it is super hard. But I think that by teaching movement to children, who I can see in children that I've worked with, and, you know, even personally, you can see their bodies become so wound up and frustrated. They need to move. They're not moving enough, you know. So teach kids a way of moving through Pilates, which it's not team sports. It's not competitive, you know, will you get picked first or last? There's no pressure on how you perform. I can remember throwing a ball in a rounders match, and I threw it underhand and it went all the way up to the sky, and I felt like time had stopped and everybody's looking because I'd thrown this ball so wrongly, and it just, it was just like, I'm like, I'm going hot now.
Well, that is such a good point, Charlotte, how childhood experiences, the way we react as adults, are because of childhood experiences. That was just a perfect example. And so what you're teaching children is obviously not only now, but they're going to grow up as healthier emotionally, you know, not only physically, but emotional adults, because they will have a way to move through these perfectionist, it's supposed to be this way, you know, language that like, you know, you like throwing a ball underhand is wrong. It's like, you know what I mean?
I mean, fair enough, it was wrong. It was a nightmare.
I guess.
Still. But you know, a lot of kids,
let's say this, let me put it this way, because I always like to read like the language.
I know you're so good at this.
Okay, so instead of it was wrong, it was for the game that you were playing, it was not in the rules. But it wasn't quote wrong.
It's like what's that Will Smith film? I never think of things in the moment. I saw that going differently. It's that quote, isn't it? You know. Hitched, that's the one. But I think a lot of children, they're happy doing sport in lower, for us we call it junior school, but then when they go to senior school, age around 11 here, sport becomes a different thing, and it does become more boy sports, girl sports. It's changing a little bit now, but I think a lot of teenagers just drop off sporting activity. So if you teach children something like Pilates much earlier, like I never did Pilates until I had, you know, a prolapse disc twice in my life, and I couldn't even lift my baby up for weeks. So, you know,
that's a whole other story, by the way. We should probably have you on to talk about
that. Is a whole other story. But like Pilates feels nice. It feels good to a body. So teach children that it's not always about being the fastest one on a 100-meter sprint, but it's about a movement practice which can feel good, access it anywhere, anytime. They can do it, you know, like my eldest daughter, she's now 18. She went babysitting yesterday in our village.
18?
She's 18.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it's mad. She went babysitting yesterday to a little 4-year-old girl, and I won't name names, so it doesn't matter. But she texted me. I said, "How's it going?" She said, "Mum, look." You know what photo she sent me? The book. She said, "We've already done it twice. She absolutely loves it. She's had her copy for 2 weeks." And I thought, oh, that's a 4-year-old who's loving Pilates. And when her babysitter comes, that's the book she chooses because she wants to do it because it's a fun activity. Amazing.
Now, does she know though that she is your daughter?
Yes,
okay.
She knows that I'm her mum.
Yeah.
So, I just kids
Amazing.
Kids can enjoy Pilates. It doesn't have to be. I had one interview about 6 weeks ago, and someone said, "I'm not really sure it's suitable for children. I can't really see how you teach it. It's all about precision." And I was like, "Well, maybe in an adult body, and actually,
Maybe.
even that's
Maybe not.
But let's just not be so serious all the time. We have
Right.
a sloth, and she meets animals. You know, it's
Right.
a story. It's make believe." But
well, that's a good example, Charlotte, of our industry. There are, you know, there are a lot of teachers, and I mean, and it's not their fault. Again, it's just the way that their elders have taught them, and it is a, you know, precision. And look, I used to think everybody needed to walk around and look like a dancer with their, you know, and they don't.
Right.
Like so that's just how. But my point is, Charlotte, is that comment of it's about precision, and I don't see it as that very boxed in thinking that you can't move when you're when you're feeling like, you know. So thank you for giving us that example, because we got to change the story.
I think it depends who you're teaching, what's happening for them that day,
what the goal is, I guess.
I mean, there are some times where I do want to be corrected because I know I have a tendency to do this or to do that, you know.
Right.
So I want a teacher who is gonna
tell you.
Yeah, it is play, exactly. And I think definitely this book is very playful. But when you're going to a session, and what do you want to get out of it? Yes, you want to have moved your body through a range of motion. You want to have developed some, you know, muscle strength. You want to have used muscles which you generally are not going to move in the same way in your day-to-day movements. But also, don't people buy from people? Don't people go and buy the Pilates teacher that they want? Why? Because they're comfortable with that person, because they have nice chats, because it's a pleasant experience. Well, that's fun in another way, you know. If you want to go and see a bossy boots, maybe that is what you want. I mean, it takes all sorts. But there's an element of getting what you want out of a session, isn't there? And I think it can be playful, because I mean, come on, Cadillac stuff, that is playful. Yes. You just can't not smile when you're doing half of those moves.
Right. It really is. I mean, it's such a Tanya's saying 100% Pilates is also play and keeps us young.
Absolutely.
I mean, it really is like that, you know, element of in every studio, it's like, lighten up. Like, it's like you just want to say, lighten up, like, you know, it's okay, like, you know, like, let's just have some fun with 100% respect for everybody that's in the room, like, not making fun of people, not like,
oh no,
you know, because I've you know, had those experiences where it's fun, but it's fun at someone else's expense. No, it's like, we're just, you know, just having fun. And I think, yes, because of the state of the world and so many pressures, most people feel like they have to walk around serious.
Yeah, a bit
and
productive.
Protective. There you go. That's a really
for
great,
sure.
yeah.
But
So,
actually, that's one thing which is really, I never thought I would teach children. I did my kids and teens years ago, just because I was in the habit of doing qualifications at that time in case I needed it. But what I found about teaching children, and I would urge anybody, if you're a Pilates teacher and you have a qualification to teach kids but you've not used it, or you think, well, I could investigate that and do a kids qualification, do it, because it's so enriching. I forgot how much I love little kids. They're just so cute and funny and positive. You know, like,
yes.
Obviously when you're teaching adults, we all have a lot of stresses, and when you're teaching one-to-ones, it is generally what kind of comes out, and you end up talking about, because negativity bias, we all have it, we end up talking about the downsides of life sometimes, don't we?
Sure. Yeah.
But with kids, oh my gosh, no. I come out and I'm just like,
yeah.
they put a big smile on your face. You know, they're so happy that there's a ladybird. They're so happy that there's an elephant water fight, you know? And I have to pinch myself. I'm like, oh my God, someone's paid me to do this. Someone's paid me to do this. It's amazing. So more of that.
Well, even if you're not, I was going to say my kids' school, their elementary school, which I guess would be junior school. And, it's like kinder through 5th grade, basically.
Yeah.
They have career day, and I go and I'm a Pilates teacher, and I take them through just standing, roll down things. And I mean, I don't have like, quote, a kid's qualification, but to this day, like my son is the same as 13. My middle son is 13. And I came to his class several times, like through those years, and his friends will see me still and be like, I know who you are. You came and taught us the breathing, or you came and taught us the star. What, you know what I mean? And
that's so nice.
If you're watching and you have the opportunity to just go into a classroom and just do that, like, it really puts that stamp. And for you, do you see yourself like, I mean, I know like you're the only one right now who's giving these classes, but do you see this growing where you can teach other people how to do this?
Yes, I have been approached by a group to put together a course that would allow other people to
that would be amazing, Charlotte.
To roll with that. That would be really nice. I'd love to see that going out. Obviously, I've got quite a few colleagues who teach breath work who are able to use the breathing pages, because there are quite a few breathing stories who, like I said, perhaps are talking a bit more generally or whimsically about breathing, but the practices in this book are 5, they're scientifically researched practices, and they are quite specific in the instructions. So that's been useful for people. And child psychologists said they want to use it with their clients. A speech therapist said they want to use it because way that children breathe and their jaw develops is very much linked to how children can first, enunciate their sounds and their words. So that was interesting. And there's also a job called a myofunctional therapist, which is like a physiotherapist, but they deal solely in, the mouth, the tongue, the jaw muscles. And they quite often work in conjunction with breathing. So that's been quite interesting, seeing how breath work and speech, and in particular from an education point of view, there's like 5 pillars of child development, and if you help them with gross motor skills, it directly helps them with their speech and language ability. It directly helps them with their cognitive ability, and it directly helps them with fine, it's all linked. So quite often I think parents, it's amazing. Parents think, well, they do enough running around in the playground. They don't particularly need to do more, movement-based things. But actually, by doing movement practices, they're helping their child to learn. And I don't think that's often explained to new parents. So it's useful from that point of view too.
Well, it's because also I think we're starting to get better, at least from my perspective. My son goes to a charter school that is allowed to do other type, kind of experiment with not having to sit in a desk
Right.
for, that, I mean,
Well, that's really good.
That's so old school, and
yes,
we're still doing it.
But that's great that they.
It is. Yeah.
So what are they allowing? Standing and.
Like they have, they'll have like those little the little things you can put on the chair where they can move. They can move to the floor if they want to.
That's really good, Alison. I haven't heard of that, very much of that here. That's brilliant. Yeah.
Third grade. He's in third grade.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, all of it is just so great. And it's, starting a movement. I think what you said about the, just compassionate parenting kind of movement that we're in as well. It's amazing. And what I was thinking of particularly what would be really amazing is bringing into other schools the parachute.
Yes.
With the, to explain all, like, that's like so brilliant. I mean, to explain
it's just
the
so
body.
fun. I mean, when I was thinking how to make a workshop out of it, I thought, well, it's all got to be play. So we do a target game where we throw things into the mouth or nostrils. We do the parachute where we look at what our anatomy actually is. We do like hard breathing where we breathe out and we make a really loud noise with the party blower, and then we have a little feather under our nostrils and we try to breathe as gently as possible, and the room goes so quiet and everyone's so calm. And then we do the timing where we jog on the spot and we see what happens to our heart and what's happened to our breathing, and then we lie down, we close our eyes, we all have a little eye pillow, and we slow our breathing down and we try and slow our exhale down, and that coincides with home time. So the children all float out the door. Doesn't always happen, obviously. Oh, right. But, it's useful. And I think it would be helpful for parents to listen into that part of the workshop, because actually we have to model these things. And we don't have to model it subtly and quietly and, try and hide what we're doing to our children. I think the best thing to actually do is say what you're doing. If you're about to lose I just need a moment, I'm just going to take 3 slow breaths. Do it in front of them. Say it. Children don't have self-regulation skills until they absorb them and they learn them from you. So there's no point in being subtle around your child if you're trying to teach them these emotional skills. Say what you're doing, like you do when you're chopping up a vegetable and you're teaching them how you cut that, and how you do this. Like you do when you teach them how to wash their hair. You explain, don't you? Let's make sure we get the bits behind your ears. Explain to them, but we're not in the habit of it. But I think adults are now becoming much more aware of emotional education that's needed for children. And who knows? Another couple of generations, and this might be a very different conversation.
And emotion being the key. People don't realize that the word motion is an emotion.
Yes.
It's 8:13 p.m. for
no
you,
way.
Right?
It's 7:13. We've been chatting for ages.
Oh, it's 7:13. Okay, so we're 8 hours apart. Good. Okay.
Yes.
So an hour and 15 minutes. That's I love when we can get into conversations that are
a long chat,
deep. So I am so appreciative of your time and just what you've created, and excited to see where else it's going to go.
Well, thank you very much for having me on and helping me spread the word amongst more Pilates teachers, and also the class of pregnancy impactors. And if anyone wants to get their copy, Susie Sloth and Her Secret Superpower, it's on Amazon and orderable from any bookstore. And my website is benefitsofbetterbreathing.co.uk, where you'll find social links if you want to hook up with me there.
You'll so make sure and follow Charlotte if you're not already, anything else you would like to end with?
Just that, you know, when you said earlier, you know, it's free, it's there for us to use. Children are like little sponges. They use this very quickly after being taught. My little niece, I shared the book with her before it was ready. She was one of my kind of beta readers. The very next day she said to her mum, she was struggling with something at the time, and she said, "Mum, I just need to find my breath. Just help me find my breath." And she wanted to find her breath, to count her breath, and just find, you know, that control again. And it's not to contain any anger, it's not to contain the temper, but children can learn these skills in order to cope better with those feelings. And I think they deserve, now that we have all the science as to why these things work, they deserve to be taught it in a way that's fun, is fairly simple, and they can then use it when they need it.
Love it. Thank you so much. You go and have the rest of your evening, and if I don't see you, hopefully I'll see you Friday. If
Yes.
not, we'll just keep communicating, and thank you so much. Thank you for hanging out, Tanya.
If you lasted this whole time, I can't believe we've been talking that long. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Okay, you have a great evening, Charlotte. Everybody else have a great day, evening, wherever you are, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alison. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.